Yeah. Sorry, go for it. What's it?
You're set up here.
Mm-hmm. You can put your music back on.
Sorry, everybody. Just gonna have to do that. I have to disconnect them then.
Mm-hmm.
Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Valencia, Harris Bauer, and there's reverb. Anyway, and we're really happy to welcome you here tonight to Wendy Subway. For those of you who've never been to Wendy Subway before, we are an independent writing space, publisher, and reading room, and you're currently surrounded by some of the books that we have in our collection. And we're really thrilled tonight to launch a new book by Mariana Valencia called Album that we've been hard at work on for the past couple months. Harris will say a few more things about that.
Album is the first book in our document series, and that is featuring play scripts, documentation of varying performative actions, and work with other artists. The book right now is available for pre-order with posters that we'll be passing out for the performance that Mariana's going to be doing, and we will be shipping those out to people, so just make sure that you put in your mailing address and email address so we can get you the final copy, which we have a slight mock-up of on display this evening. We're going to start with Emma Hedditch, followed by Jordan Moore with some readings in advance of Mariana's performance.
And just one last word, which is that we're just really thrilled to bring this book out into the world. I had a chance to see Album once and then many times again, looking at documentation. And it's a kind of extraordinary feat for a performer, I think, to want to try to think about how to put their work onto the page, which is not always the easiest challenge or the most interesting one sometimes. And so we're really excited that Mariana was going to take this leap with us and to work with us on this really beautiful book that we're super proud of. So again, thank you all so much for coming and celebrating this book with us. And with that, I will pass it on to Emma Hedditch. Thanks.
Thanks everyone, and also okay to change this reverb thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool, but it's a little, yeah. I might regret asking you to change it.
We have an impromptu pro of this PA.
I guess first I just want to kind of open my heart to Mariana and her work, and thank her for also a kind kind of long-standing commitment and like friendship and working relation and collaboration that we've had. And I'm really happy to know you and your work and your person. So thank you. I also want to just thank all of you guys at Wendy Subway, and I have been looking at your website for probably 2 years and hovering over joining, so I'm going to do that. It takes a while to join things. So Jordan and I are gonna, we've talked a little bit about what we're gonna read, and there's lots of things that make me nervous about reading this, but so if I seem a little shaky, but yeah, I'm gonna try. As an acknowledgement of the financial difficulties, structural problems, and feelings of scarcity experienced whilst writing or making art or accounting for it. When making performances, conceptual and ephemeral projects, there are always questions about property and claiming authorship over something that had emerged out of the social or collaboration. I really came with a conviction that it is crucial to be able to speak and act from where you're situated with those that you're with in the room, imaginatively and remotely, and to act from there and to articulate on a daily basis with both what you have in common and where you fall apart. Recognizing the weakness and hopelessness that life as a subject of and for capital engenders, and how there is an oscillation through these positive, negative, and confused states. Is there a way to keep the focus on addressing what concretely allows or disallows the production of a critical and political space and the immediate material and ideological conditions of its production as that which is frequently disavowed or neglected, and how that reflects the obstacles to the production of a political space in general. A reading or a talk or a performance is already a collaborative proposition. The persons performing, the history of the performances, the audience, the people that maintain the space, how it's documented and circulated after, the owner of the building, who believes in it, validates it, all are essential. What if we formalized these relationships so that all the parts of the production were acknowledged and the labor were compensated through an equal share or something dependent on the amount contributed but never owned? Wendy Subway, where we are, is a non-profit organization where members support their reading and writing practices and those of others through monthly contributions at various levels and involvement. There are 4 types of membership plans. How much you contribute financially gives you access and decision-making power differently. They have set about formalizing the structures of governance in relation to their economy. If we had structured this as a cooperative from the beginning, we would determine how decision-making is made or shared, how the decision-making should involve members from all of the classes. There would be a great deal of transparency. Members contribute and control the economy of the cooperative. They do not own it, but they share the responsibility of keeping it going and how it's keeping going. Cooperatives are managed by their members in order to give them as much autonomy as possible from wealthy elites, because this overdependence can limit what we are able to say and do, and it makes our work and it makes us vulnerable to interests which may not be our own. Cooperatives also strive for autonomy from the state. We would take into account how different members are going to be involved: audience, writers, performers, and organizational staff. The audience has an interest in seeing and reading things and gaining knowledge about work that it it might not otherwise see. Writers share their work in a context that is intentional and that is critically engaged or aligned with the concerns they have in their work. They support an organization that is working for a sustainable source of income for writers and organizational staff. They share a kind of communal knowledge by gaining and sharing existing skills and resources. You might be required to invest financially with sweat equity and be part of decision making in the terms that the co-op sets, all of which would be part of your initial membership agreement. The role of continuous and collective education is also a kind of praxis of what a cooperative is, just by virtue of this process. Part 2. What is so terrible about this? I experience depression as a negotiation around how much time to be alone and how to socialize and politicize these feelings. How much I want to be seen or am able to acknowledge my connection to others. How I make that visible or heard is a bit hit and miss. Sometimes it's more obvious to me, but not others. And sometimes it's obvious to others and not me. I rely heavily on images and nonverbal communication. In August, I saw a poster in the window of a dry cleaner's. The poster was old, maybe from the 1980s. Mostly it was black with a figure floating in the middle. The figure was a woman in a suit jacket, her arms across. She looks withdrawn or just serious. It's grayscale. At the bottom of the poster, in white text, it reads, "You may have to go through the ringer, but you don't have to look like it." I sent this to a few friends in an iMessage, and I'm still thinking about it. How much does your physical appearance tell about your emotional state? Do wrinkled clothes reveal something about how you're feeling? Does a wringer flatten clothes or just get the water out of it? Is it more important to know how intentional that someone is being about their clothing than what you perceived based on your own intentions? I don't use Twitter, but a Twitter feed that I read sometimes on the internet. On a website by somebody called Charlotte Walker reads, "The sicker I am, the more I start to think that I'm making it all up." I read it as a claiming of sickness and how it's part of a reality. I read it as a kind of subversion of hypochondria. Of course sickness impacts your reality, and you're the person making it up. That reality, along with all of the ways you are dependent on others. It's a kind of partial subversion though, and that doesn't mean less than. Because it's in public distribution, it asks for a witness and is open to being asked, "Are you okay?" All of this liveness relates to being here. I feel like I'm operating in a field I don't fully understand. I don't fully understand who I'm reading to. I don't fully understand what I'm saying, and I don't fully understand how all of this will come together in liveness and editing. There are a few different ways to approach this situation, and there are a few different ways to appear, and for you to interpret that appearance. I adjust myself accordingly or act inappropriately or some other way. It's okay to have many ways of appearing at different moments of publicness. I'm now thinking of it as located there in the relationship between words and material. And it's this relationship that I understand to be the proposition of a process that writing and reading throws into question. I feel that privately I've been grappling with acknowledging and denying the constitution of this question, and it's this that's made it difficult to write, or that now I realize this is what I might have been going through. it's not so much about offering a way of working for itself to be examined by us from a position that is separate from it, or to act as judges of it, which would seem to me to result simply in masking structures. But rather is the suggestion of a process that does not impose itself on others, but makes me think about what we are doing here. Considering these things on my own results in certain anxieties, but I don't think of it as surplus to thinking about the work I wanted to make. The suggestion of a kind of collectivity or collaboration, which I can understand conceptually but do not feel. The idea that we would individually develop work singly that is ahistorical, although we have met many times socially, and at least one of you I would consider a friend who I regularly talk to about ideas. I found it possible to develop this by a process of forgetting the situation we're in. I dislike how any kind of conversation has become the responsibility of someone managing some sort of collaborative process and questioning it, with that as the focal point or pivot that we are defining ourselves towards or against, which doesn't seem to me an adequate solution, rather an abnegation of responsibility. I question because of it. I do not exactly question it. I am making something because of it, not for it. I didn't choose it. I was chosen. I'd rather respond to it as just one part of what's happening, as if it is a work amongst all of each other's work that we might productively consider. The wider question that these things make me consider is if and how much I want to be engaged in making work in a way that's occurred here. I'm not saying I don't, just that for me this is a very live question. I'm writing now because I'm understanding them to be critical and material, and about establishing or thinking through the means by which work continues. I'm saying this to try and exemplify something about the immediate present, about the site or experience as a live production, which is already organized in common. I guess what's most crucial or telling here is how this gets initiated by and for whom and for what purpose. We are not anti-establishment, and we have always been improvising.
I'm really happy to be here and really grateful to Mariana that she asked me to read tonight. I tell people literally all the time that album is one of the best artworks I've ever seen, and I feel really grateful to see that it's now a book, because I think it's like what it needs to be at this point. I also wanted to thank Windy Subway because they were really amazingly responsive to all of the access requests that were made. They even got a ramp just for this, or not just for this event, but in the wake of this event, so that's really cool. I never know how to do this, but I'm gonna look this up maybe.
Access your mouth.
Yeah. Let's see. How does that happen? I wish something would be protected to us. Cool. I also, if anyone's watching the live stream, want to say hi? Okay. So I'm going to read some notes that I've written from 2012 to now. The first ones were written actually around the time I met Emma and Mariana when we were working in our reading group called No Total. I had an idea to make a film based on these notes, and the idea for the film wasn't very good, but I realized that actually is what led me to make documentary, even though I actually don't like most documentaries. And so basically I feel like what I'm going to read tonight might sound kind of either like poetry or worse, like tweets, but I'm kind of hoping that we could think about it as documentary. So something I get uneasy about in documentary filmmaking is the tendency to only include the parts that either fit the story or the argument. In every film, you collect a lot of material that you don't end up using, and your job as a filmmaker is to decide what material is valuable for sharing, which parts best communicate your ideas. I've of course made cuts and been selective in choosing which notes to read, but I'm trying to follow Mariana's lead in how she preserves the end value of things that other people might forget about her or cut out of the stories they tell about her. One more thing I want to say is that I've kind of always dreamed about a movie where the characters learn the important lessons of the film midway through, and then they spend the rest of the film trying to remember those lessons, like not to learn something new, but just like, how do you remember what you've learned? So these notes span the ages 22 to 28. One of the notes is a passage from George Eliot's Middlemarch. Two other notes reference things from books, A Thousand Plateaus and Bedouin Hornbook. Okay, so here are the notes finally. I want to know you, speaking through others, meeting a succession of important people, failing to make an impression, pouring out the ice at the end of an event. People don't throw away their self-image like they take out the trash. You should stop feeling ashamed, ignoring someone on the train, being really sad on the train, feeling one's glands to see if they're swollen. He sits calmly and contemplative on a double-edged sword. I understand if you don't want to talk. Anxiety is just knowing too many different things at once. To dress with power, to make oneself inaccessible. I was allowed to watch the baby, but I said I don't like them. Doing better than was done to you. Finding values opposite of those you were raised with. You promised me you would never change. Not wanting to be the victim of the universal truth. A near miss that leads to a hit. Having conversations with everyone except the people you should be having them with. Another logic than production. And so they went, one in search of the other. How would I assign value to all the most important things and ideas which I'd encountered throughout my life? It was rather in that state that I found myself. A film about a parking lot. The tree is above all a growth strategy. Phantom objectivity. A situation where we find ourselves haunted by what we ourselves initiate. Games where each player picks things for the other players to do. Diminishing returns. An infinitely renewable need. Knowing the right course of action as a way of convincing yourself that nothing bad can happen to you. There was something horrible to Dorothea in this sensation which this unresponsive hardness inflicted on her. That is a strong word, but not too strong. It is in these acts called trivialities that the seeds of joy are forever wasted, until people look around with haggard faces at the devastation their own waste has made, and say, the earth bears no harvest of sweetness, calling their denial knowledge. The kind of closeness in a family that causes them to keep things from one another. The weakening of ideology through habit. It seems fitting that at the same time, friendship is plate spinning. When one person's ego depends on the disruption of another's. Procrastination as a mode of internal resistance. Rearranging. Fundamentally disappointing someone. Can just saying something make you a bad person? It feels like the more I check into this world, the more I'm unable to access that other one. After all, what's a body? These conversations where you resist everything the other person is saying because there's some larger issue you can't discuss. I wasn't asking because I wanted to. I was asking because I was trying to figure out what you wanted. Trying to run somewhere when you're still hooked on something else. Trying to hook oneself onto a concrete idea of the future. Youth looks good on you. It's more fun to tell a story you don't know the ending to. What hurt most about it is that the thought seemed to have never even entered your mind. Carrying too many layers when you meet someone. Isn't that a bit depressing, having to construct a theory of possibility? I've stopped thinking of you, and yet there's always still the possibility. Telling yourself you're going to keep some secret to yourself and then letting it go. What to do with all this time that's disappearing? One asks oneself when, oh, this is my time? Forgetting is a form of study. In my mind, the door to my work has been left open all this time. The fact that we've all felt trapped in our bodies. There's no such thing as a wasted life. There's no such thing as a responsibility to wake up in the morning. We could see what was happening. The film is paused in a subtitle that reads, "Time to Worry." Is debate ever useful? The difference between I owe it to you and I owe you. There will always be a place in this world for those who can act successful, even at their own expense. All that matters to me is that my friends like my art. On carelessness. I like it when you're right and you tell me I'm wrong. I would like to have said, it's cold in here. Knowing something so well that the boundaries between before and after knowing it, are blurred. I've been spending a lot of time trying to piece together why certain things happen. What are you ordering tonight? I'm ordering time. I'm sorry about all the traces you left for yourself, and how hard that is for you to see who you were and what you had that you don't have anymore. Smile at book fades as it turns serious. Thank you for always saying what I need to hear. Diminishing returns? Can I make you feel better? I let my value grow. When you close your eyes to escape eye contact. Someone taking a seemingly endless series of terrible photos. Their parents. History, etymology of the word delete. I dreamed I was at the movies with my parents. Wasn't that great? What the fuck is a lively conversation? What you've built the house for. Bright light. Casual shopper. Dental clearance. Mechanical valve. Remodeling of the heart with ACE inhibitor and beta blocker. Configuration of the heart will start to change. The volume overload will decrease. Speaks very fast. Another kind of empathy. Bath mat, bathtub mat, scrubbing bubbles. Shower curtain. The idea that we can access the CP with that account. New symptoms, chest pain, twitching in right eye. Pain management services. Will I be able to ride roller coasters? Will I be able to have caffeine? They will write a letter, fax it to our office. Cranes, spare computer, hard drives. Diet Coke, mop, magic erasers, sponges, Windex, Brillo pads, steel wool. Hands coming through the curtain for hand sanitizer after dropping off urine sample. Putting stickers on test tubes. I sleep with my ankles crossed. Open doors. My doctor came in the room and said, "You look better without your beard." Convo with Allison and cardiologist. You'll be much more aware of your heartbeat. Anticoagulation clinic. Miralax once daily. Flaxseed oil, alternative to Miralax. Fenifiber, milk of magnesia. Baking soda till it fizzes and sits bath. 18 minutes of pain in bicep, but not chest pain. 8 minutes of sensitivity when touched, but not pain. Does it have to do with sleeping with my ankles crossed? I dreamed I had just started dating a man who was so tall that when we danced, I was a foot off the ground and a foot from his face. He spun me around the room. I searched in embarrassment all over my room for a dry towel to give him. Apparently in the dream I had time traveled. I was extremely angry at the disrespectful way that my mother had treated him. It was the last time I ever saw him. I knew through social media that he had married someone, or that he was sick, or that his partner was sick, but that they seemed happy and that they were taking care of each other. Back in time, I was trying to dramatically leave the party where my mom had met us, but the car was blocked in by a car parked behind it, and I had to ride with her. how one negative opinion can change everything. Consider cutting part with breathing tube pause. How do you show a cycle, a fugue? Black spots. Hang soon. Ask Dad to tell me his dreams. Show about bathrooms. Call it holding it. Color shampoo once a week. Color conditioning, manic panic. A few bullet points. Lawyer costs. I really enjoyed my month off from ableism. People sent me meals. I lived in various friends' houses without paying rent. I spent time with my mom, and lots of my friends came over. I didn't feel guilty about doing nothing except hanging out. I wanted to take what I felt in this time and bring it back into my work when I had to go back to doing things to make money. What mattered, though, in this so-called recovery period wasn't when I was able to go back to work, but more what it cost me to go back. As much as access is about whether you can get in or not, it's also about what parts of you you're supposed to be able to crop out or keep inside to yourself. As soon as I went back to work, I'd never felt more anxiety to be self-reliant, to accumulate money, to have enough for myself, and then more than enough to share, to reproduce myself as someone who could take care of myself and others financially. I cast myself in my capacity for care only in terms of those things I currently lack. It's as if ableism can detect the resourcefulness of dependency, of need, and burns through it like oil, filtering those resources that are inexhaustible as the things you might someday run out of because we're all exhausted. It's as if knowing by experience how good life can be without independence, ableism knows that the best way of undermining dependency is to promise rest and comfort as only accessible as compensation for working hard, upholding reciprocity, taking advantage of opportunities, responding yes. Ableism can turn rest, which is free, into a wage or a commodity. It promises to get rid of our pain and meet our needs by fucking up our bodies and minds and souls, and making us forget what we need except sleep, and it can't even give us that. And yet, I still dream about us sometimes. And yet I do remember what it was like for you to be there before and after I went to sleep, and the TV we watched together, and the books we read, and the things we talked about. And it hurts to do all of this for insurance and a place to live and food to eat. And yet I still believe in doing this and needing more. And I bet you know who y'all are. And yet I still believe that we have more than we'll ever know. I realized this before and I'm realizing it again. It's good for others, but I can't access it. Discuss the title. That's it.
Hello. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Jordan and Emma. If it wasn't clear yet, Jordan, Emma, and I met with, well, actually, I met Jordan because of Emma, because of this group, because of No Total. No Total was a reading group that was based out of, artist-based books and talks. We would read 40 pages a week, and we would meet once a week. We decided on the 40 pages because the first book we read was so challenging for me specifically. Like, I was like, I don't know if I can actually finish this book because I can't finish the first paragraph. Like, it's really dense and I don't know how to enter this. Maybe it's because I never went to grad school. And it's been like a really long time since I went to undergrad. And I know I read, but I'm not smart like this. And so we decided that the other people in the group were Elizabeth Orr, Ginger Brooks Takahashi, Gio Wyeth, Tuesday Smiley, Joey Teeling, Emma, Jordan, and myself. And so we decided that 40 pages a week, 1 liter a week to the discussion. And it went on for 3 years. Different books, not the same book. And I think it was around that time when I was like, okay, I'm like finding my words, my work is becoming something that's, okay, so like I'm reading more and now I'm like writing more, and we had events together, and it was like this family that we got to have like, you know, reading dinner with once a week. So thank you, Emma and Jordan, for those years and for today. I'm going to try something. So who here has heard the Rice song? Okay, so it's like a mixed crowd. For those of you who've never heard the rice song, I'm just gonna do it a little bit for them, for those of you who have heard it. And then we're going to try something. Second question is, has anybody purchased a poster? Okay. So a lot of people haven't purchased posters. That's fine. We're just gonna borrow them for this, and then we're gonna give them back. If this is like church, we're gonna give it all back. So I think 2 people can share one per row.
You can keep the poster.
Oh, you get a poster. You get a poster. You get a poster. Okay. So this is just the practice round where I do my part, and then I will point to you. And do you see these letters on the left-hand page? When I point to you, we will sing together the "I want to know, does it come with rice?" and so on. Okay, but I'll point. It'll be like, we're all learning. I've never actually done it this way, so this is I'm learning, you're learning, we're all learning, and those of us who have never heard this are extra credit. Let me find my song. So the rice song is in the book also because it's a part of album. Rice is something that I think about. It's something that I know that I like to ask for more of. More rice. It's like, when I go, it's like when I ask for something and I'm like, excuse me, does this come with money? Things don't usually come with money, but if I ask, excuse me, does this come with rice? Things come with rice. And it might be free. Or it's just like a small extra fee, but it's there. It's something that I can ask for more of. It's something that's tenable. It's something that I have come to ask for because I understand deficit or scarcity, and because of things like this, I ask for rice. So it's like, I like to eat all kinds of food, but especially I like to go to the Thai restaurant. And I don't think this is working. At the Thai restaurant. Hold on. Is the volume up? Did I pull the right one? Just one moment. Okay, we're gonna try this again. It's like when I go to the Thai restaurant. It's like when I go. Is it because I'm on Bluetooth? There we go. Okay. We're gonna try this again. Oh. Okay. It's like when I go to the Thai restaurant. And when I go to the Thai restaurant, I like to order chicken pad Thai. And pad Thai noodles are rice noodles. Some of us know this, some of us might not because we've never heard this song. And so I like to ask for, may I please have a chicken pad Thai, extra spicy with extra peanut sauce? And then I ask, excuse me, does this pad Thai come with rice? Or like when I go to the Indian restaurant and I order saag paneer, and saag paneer comes with rice, and they offer extra naan, and I say, excuse me, yes, I'll take the naan, but could I have more rice? Or like when I order my $4.50 coffee at the coffee place, and the milk is like massaged, it's free range, it's gone through some therapy, and I'm like, sure, I'll pay the $4.50, but I want to know. I want to know, does my coffee come with rice? Okay, we got it? Okay. So when I say, but I want to know. I want to know, does it come with rice? I love rice. It's like, I need my lyrics. Any kind of rice. Okay? So we'll just try it. I'm gonna go. It's like when I eat at the Thai restaurant. And I like to order chicken pad Thai. And chicken pad Thai is like deja vu every time. It's rice noodles, and I'm that person who's like, may I have a chicken pad thai, extra spicy, with a side of peanut sauce, and could I please have that with some rice? Or like when I go to the Indian restaurant, I love to order saag paneer, and saag paneer comes with rice. And they offer extra naan, and I say, sure, I'll take the naan, but could I have more rice? Or it's like my $4.50 coffee with organic massage, therapized milk, it's free range. Sure, I'll pay the $4.50, but I want to know, does my coffee come with rice? I want to know, does it come with rice? I love rice. Oh wait, fried rice, brown rice, yellow rice, any kind of rice. I'm just gonna ad-lib a little, okay? I want to know, does my bagel come with rice? Do my sneakers come with rice? I love rice, brown rice, fried rice, basmati rice. And now in the performance, there's typically like a dance interlude, so just dance with yourself. If you want to give a stretch, if you're able to, please do so. If you just want to look at your friend next door, do that. Give a chuckle. Get a snack. Okay, this is good. How are we feeling, okay? Ready? Part 2. And now I'm just gonna talk. Now we're like that time I went to Serbia. The hotel bathroom was so fancy. There was a bidet, a shower, cold water, hot water, lots of towels, a blow dryer, a phone. You could even smoke in it. And I still was like, excuse me, there's just one thing I need to check in about. I want to know, does my bathroom come with rice? I love rice, any kind of rice. This is just one section. Brown rice, white rice, even white rice. Very good, very good. Even white rice. I want to know, does my convention come with rice? Does my metro card come with rice? I love rice, brown rice, steamed rice, even cold rice. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much for going to Rice Church with me. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for reading together. Maybe you can buy the book, maybe you won't. It's fine. Does it come with rice? The book does not come with rice. But I don't know if this am I on? Yeah. I'm sorry that the book does not come with a side of rice, but maybe you can eat it. You can eat rice when you read it the first time, just you know. Let's give it up for Wendy Subway for hosting us. And for all of you for being here, and have some more stuff. Thank you.
I don't have a bag. Also have tea. I'll just hold it. I have to hold it. Yeah. That seems silly. You're so
Thanks so much for coming, everyone, and a really special thank you to Emma and Jordan for reading tonight. Feel free to hang out. There was some prosecco. There's some more treats. There's some books. See you soon.
Yay! Thank you. Oh, thanks for watching.
I do too. Well, then come.